Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to another Odoo experience together. I hope you're enjoying as much as I am. My name is Anna. I'm here today to talk about the Master Production Schedule, the MPS. And I know it's a topic that often generates questions, doubts. Many people don't like it, so I hope you will like it as much as I do as well. And if you have any questions that are unanswered during my talk, feel free to scan the QR code behind me, and yeah, I will try to answer to as many questions as I can at the end of the talk. I'll give you a few moments to do that. All right, so today I will, first of all, before the use case, before the scenarios, I will first of all explain quickly what is the MPS in a nutshell. So it will be a very quick introduction, just for those of you who need a reminder, who've never used it, at least to have an idea about what it is. I will then switch to my use case, so I will introduce you to my company, and then we will explore together different scenarios about this company. I always think it's more useful to see in practice how it works, especially with dates, with numbers. So I hope they will be useful for you. And finally, we will conclude with a conclusion, of course, and the Q&A, as I mentioned. So why the MPS? Well, before I can answer this question, I will need to first know what is the MPS. The MPS is a long-term replenishment tool that gives visibility over both actual and forecasted demand. The keywords I want you to retain here are long-term and forecasts. We will see later why. Why is the MPS useful? When is it useful? Well, for different scenarios. So when we have planning based on forecasts, so when we want to plan our production based on our forecasted demand, not on our actual demand, like it could be for MTO replenishment strategies. It's also useful when we deal with irregular or seasonal demand. So again, differently, rather than replenishment dashboard or reordering rules, the MPS is great for demand that is not steady and constant, but that is more spiky. It's also useful for products with long lead times because it allows us in one single view to group all our needs, when we need to order, what we need to order, what is our demand, and it's therefore a really great dashboard for that. Finally, it's also useful when we have a safety stock. In this case, similarly to reordering rules, we can also manage minimum stock levels with our MPS. Okay, it was very fast, I know, but I want to show you how it works before we talk too much about the theory. For today, I chose a fictional company, of course. It produces sodas, and it's based in Belgium. It's a very new company, startup. A few information about them. First thing about production, they produce in bottles, in 6 bottles batches, and their production on average takes around 1 week time. Then speaking about lead times, but this time about components, they are based in Belgium, as I was saying, and most components come from Europe. So we have components that can take from 1 week when they come from the Netherlands, France, or Germany, but they can take also up to 28 days, so almost 1 month, when they come from Italy or Spain, for example. Finally, about the supply chain, I was saying that my company is very young, so they don't have yet trusted the network of vendors, and therefore their vendors base is quite volatile for now. So they are still checking whether they are happy with one vendor, whether they can trust another vendor, and so on. And about demand, their demand is spiky and trend-based, so they follow parties, festivals. We all know that good companies, they like to have their event 1 year in November, 1 year in October, 1 year in September, so who knows? Now, let's explore some scenarios. So let's really deep dive into how we can use the MPS. I chose 3 scenarios that are quite simple, but that will help you understand really how can it be used in those situations. So the first case is very standard way to use the MPS, I would say the most used way to use the MPS, which is a forecast-based planning. I will go directly in my database for this. And here I cheated a bit. So you will see that when I go to my MPS, I will be in May 2026, just because who doesn't like sodas in summer compared to winter? So I will open my manufacturing app, and before the MPS, I explain quickly my bill of material. So for the first scenario, we will talk about the lemon splash soda. And when I toggle the forecast here, I will see those 2 key numbers. That is what I'm interested about here. I will see that my finished product takes 7 days to be produced. as I was saying. And the syrup in this case is taking up to 1 month, 28 days, 4 weeks to be received. We see the other products are available. We don't really care about them for today. We really focus in the MPS on strategic products for our company. Okay, so now we can go in our MPS. And we see here that I'm already in week 20 of 2026. It's the 11th of May. I wish it was already summer again, but it's not. So here we see the MPS is empty, just for you to familiarize a bit with it before we check the second and third scenario. So let's imagine again we are in May. Our salespeople come to us and they give us the forecast for the summer period. What they communicate to us is that they're expecting to sell end of June, beginning of July, a few units of our product. So I will just type here my forecasted demand for those periods. And we see then something really nice about the MPS, that it's automatically calculating, based on my forecast of the finished product, my indirect demand forecast for my component. So just by inputting here one number, I have other numbers here being computed and something being suggested for me. The first thing I want to show you is that, well, my demand for finished product is on week 25. Okay, so I will need to have this product in stock on that day, on the 15th of June. However, as I said earlier, my product takes 7 days to be manufactured. So it means I will need to start my production on week 24. Okay, so that's why my indirect demand for my components is on week 24. Okay, so on week 24, I will take my component, I will have it in stock, and I will be able to start my production. In this case, we see that here we have the same for each week, of course, so here week 24 for week 25, week 25 for week 26, and so on. However, we see that only one of our cells here is green. Why is that? Well, that is because the MPS is not only calculating for us, it's also suggesting things to us. It's telling us, if you want to have your component in stock on the 8th of June, on week 24, you are now in week 20, it takes 4 weeks to replenish this product to be delivered to you by your vendor. So I guess you all did the math. It's time to order the product now. And that's why the MPS is in green, so we know that it's now time to hit order. Of course, I'm still manually doing it. I could also switch to a more automated way to do it. Sorry. So here I could define my replenishment trigger to be automatic instead of manual. And it means that when the cell turns green, it's when Odoo will launch my PO. So that's all I wanted to show you for this first scenario. Really a quite easy use case, but just for you to understand, familiarize a bit with the tool. So to sum up, the MPS gives us an early detection of our needs. It highlights what we need. I mean, it shows us what we need, and it highlights when it's time to order that. It's really nice because the indirect demand is automatically calculated for us. We don't need to calculate it externally or go in the BOM overview, run some formulas. It's all there for us. And it guarantees, therefore, that we can deliver on time to our client once the actual demand comes in for real. Moving on to the second scenario, this is related to a new feature of V19, something really nice that I think for those of you who use the MPS will really be a game changer, and it's about detecting trends. So for this, I will stay in my summertime period. Again, in Belgium, we have a lot of festivals, so it's really where our demand is the most, the highest. So I will just choose a different set of products. What we see here is that it's not fully empty, our MPS. We see that we have already some actual demand for week 21 and week 22. So we see that, I mean, just to show you, we have a delivery planned in 7 days. We need to deliver to this client, and the same for the week after. So here we have another delivery. Okay, fine. Why is Odoo not suggesting me to replenish anything? Well, that's because, as I was saying at the beginning, the MPS is a tool that suggests what to order based on forecasts, not based on actual demand. So in order for Odoo to suggest me what to order, I should now type here 210 and 120. And you see, as soon as I type, now I can order my finished product, I can order my component. That's not the goal for me to show you this today, because in 19 we have a really game-changing feature, in my opinion, that will allow companies to save a lot of time, not rely on imports, exports. No one likes to do all those Excel work. And we can simply type here, and we can ask Odoo to please fill my forecast demand for me based on, in this case, based on my actual demand. And I'm expecting to produce exactly the same as I'm selling in this case. So I leave a factor of 100%. So you see in one click, both of my columns were automatically filled in. And then now I can order both of my weekly productions for my Midnight Berry product. Again, imagine the difference it would make if we had a lot of columns here in the MPS. Now I make it simple. I show you only 2 columns, but you can understand really the impact it can have. Something really nice, if I just activate an extra row here, is that now Odoo will also not only show me what was my actual demand last year, how much did I sell, did I deliver last year, I can also compute my forecast demand based on last year. So again, I can select this time for a specific period, first week of June, sorry. I can ask Odoo, please, based on last year's demand, last year's actual demand, please fill in my forecast demand and maybe this time multiply it by a specific factor. And here I can see already a preview. I apply, and here it is, my number. So again, it can be a really game changer. I can still adapt. I can still make manual edits if I'm not happy with the number, if I want to increase it even more. So it's just for you to really, again, have an idea of the power of the MPS we have in Odoo. So not only we detect historical trends, but we also have a really nice balance between automation and human intervention, because it still requires us to incase order, to maybe check the numbers, maybe modify, check if it makes sense. But it's really a first step to a more automated system, for sure. The last scenario is something none of us likes when it happens, but it happens more than we would like to, and many businesses suffer from this. And it's how do we deal with components that are late? Well, let's check it out. How is the MPS helping us in those situations? It cannot avoid it, but it can help us. For this, I will go back to today's date. So just allow me a few seconds, and we are back to 19th of September. So I just need to refresh here, and here we are. So we're back to week 38, back in 2025. Sorry, autumn is coming and winter too. Here I will check my other product, my Velvet Cola. Again, we have different information here showing in our system. We see this time that we have forecast demand already filled in, the replenishment already there, the actual replenishment already there, so we can check we have orders, manufacturing orders already confirmed and created in Odoo. And we see they need to start in 4 days. So if we check one of our orders, schedule date is 23rd of September. We need to start it, okay? No problem. We see we have everything available, and only the cola syrup is not available. We want to replenish our components just in time in order to avoid extra waste, extra stock, they expire. We want to make sure that we really use our syrups. And we see it's expected to arrive. So it means there is something in the system telling me that I have a purchase order already confirmed and a reception scheduled for me in Odoo. So it seems really good. It seems everything on track. I have here my components also. As I said, I have an actual replenishment already confirmed, but my vendor calls me and he tells me, well, Anna, sorry, I cannot deliver on week 39. I will be late. Let's imagine I'm the warehouse operator. I don't know anything about production. I'm simply receiving what the trucks are delivering to my stock. What I will do is I will simply adapt my reception date to be later. Doesn't seem to be a big problem. But then when our production planner checks the MPS, they will notice immediately that there is an issue here. We have an actual demand for week 40, so we need to deliver to our client in week 40. But we see here that if we need to start production on week 39, we will not have our components available on time. This happens. We have here different possibilities, of course. You could simply tell your client, sorry, I will also be late. I had a problem with my supply chain. No problem. But for us, we are a very young company. We want to make sure our clients trust us and we deliver on time. We could offer another product, sure. Or we can also check what are our possibilities here. If I check my product directly from the MPS, I don't need to exit the screen. I can check if I have other options. Lucky me, I see I have another vendor here that is much more expensive than my other one, but he is really fast at delivering to me. So for once, I can make the exception and maybe choose him instead of the other one to then order my components. So I can just change here, reorder my goods. And if I check now my request for quotation that Odoo created, I see that if I confirm now, I will receive my goods just on time for then starting my production on the 23rd of September. So I could confirm it. And of course, here I would still have a problem for next week. What do? I have too much stock coming in. That's another problem. We can always check what to do, cancel the other vendor. But again, that's really just for you to understand what are the possibilities. The cell turned yellow before. My replenishment was too low compared to the suggested one. And now it's red. It's too high compared to the suggested one. So thanks to the color coding, we really understand everything that's going on in our warehouse, not just production, but also receptions and POs being late. So we are warned on delays, and this makes us very proactive rather than reactive. So we really can anticipate problems. We see them earlier on than actually it's the 23rd of September, we need to start production, and we don't have anything available. And it facilitates, thanks to everything being signaled and us being warned, it facilitates a lot our decision making. So thanks to the MPS and thanks to Odoo 19, our company Crush Soda switched from a panic planning to a more controlled and proactive planning. So here, the few takeaways I want you to remember after today is that, as I just said, we can move from a reactive to a proactive planning thanks to the MPS, because again, it gives us one tool, one dashboard with all our needs, all our expected receptions, all our expected productions, all our demands, everything in the same view. It helps us to reduce waste, which is in line with lean principles. So we don't have too much stock sitting there and maybe syrup having to be thrown away because expired, because it would just suggest us what we need to order and order it just in time for our production needs. It also ensures that then we can have our batches produced on time and therefore delivered on time to our clients, which is something very important. And it removes the dependency from spreadsheets. Now with the brand new V19 suggested forecast demand, we don't need to calculate externally. We don't need to have formulas anywhere. We have everything centralized in the same place and calculated for us by Odoo. And also, finally, it's of course a great tool to deal with non-traditional seasonality. So, of course, seasons are perfect, but sometimes we have an event happening, as I said, in 1 week or 1 year in the other week. And so this can, of course, make us a bit confused when we're dealing with those kind of situations. But the MPS is helping us in that. I just want to conclude with saying that Odoo is a really great tool, is a really powerful tool that anticipates, suggests, and warns us. But us, we are also as important. Odoo needs us in order to decide, adjust, and act based on what it's telling us. So I think together, you can make a really good match. So you know what I want to conclude with, but let Odoo make your job easier. Thanks for listening to me, and it will be now time for the Q&A. Hello.
So we have a few questions. Can you generate an MPS based on your CRM flow? Example, I have an expected new product line starting in X month, for which I have some CRM visibility, but no sales yet or historic sales to rely on.
In that case, you would need to manually fill in your forecast demand in your MPS. So if you don't have any sales order, it means you don't have any actual demand. You need to fill in manually your forecast based on your CRM results, calculations, and then yes, you could manage it with the MPS.
Do you have any advice for who made ETO manufacturing? For us, it is really hard to use MPS because it is never standard.
Can you repeat the first part, sorry?
Yeah. Do you have any advice for someone who makes ETO manufacturing?
Yeah. Well, I think it would work well with ETO because you can still forecast what is your demand, but for ETO flows, maybe forecasting and this kind of thing is not the most useful because for me, ETO is more an MTO flow rather than an MPS based on forecast. So maybe we can talk about your use case at the booth, but I would use a MTO replenishment method rather than the MPS as a tool.
Does MPS propose replenishments in the case of multiple BOM level finished products?
Yeah, it works well also on multi-level. So now I showed you very easy BOM with only one level. It would work exactly the same way if we have multi-level. So the indirect demand forecast would be calculated on all the levels if all of our products would be in the MPS, of course.
Are there any plans to implement a demand-driven material requirements planning (DDMRP)
That's
logic into Odoo?
yeah. That's a question more for the product owner. I don't know, honestly. I don't know. So maybe I think his talk is just after. It's not about this, but come to the booth and ask him directly, I would say.
Do you have a limited capacity, or can you produce any amount of bottle or something else, I guess?
Well, Odoo is following an infinite planning logic, infinite capacity logic. So even if we have a deadline, we are still free to go beyond that deadline. But now with the batch size that we have, it's a feature I didn't really show, but I mentioned, and most of my colleagues in their talks mentioned already as well. We have a way to also, if we have a batch size, create split manufacturing orders in advance, and that maybe can help with that, I would say.
How does the MPS work across different warehouses? Can it be used for different stores?
I believe so. From V18, we had a. I think you can choose your warehouse if I'm not wrong. I would need to double check, but yeah.
Can you make scenarios? Oops, sorry. Can you make scenarios and compare them?
Well, as long as you don't order anything, you can still type your numbers and check how the MPS would react to that. But if it's based on actual demand, then no, there is really no scenario checking for the moment, I would say. So no.
How do you make the link with the suppliers? Can he confirm automatically?
I'm not sure I understand well, but you have your suppliers, so you can choose your supplier from the MPS, as I did in my last use case. You can choose your route eventually. But then it would still generate only an RFQ. You're still in charge of confirming. It would be a bit dangerous, in my opinion, for Odoo to automatically confirm RFQs without someone validating and checking whether the deadline can be respected with the vendor. Yeah.
How can you spot products with stock issues when you have more than 10,000 products with that kind?
Yeah, of course, if you have a lot of products in your MPS, it becomes really, really hard to read, but any tool, I think, would be really hard to read if you have 10,000 products. So our advice is always to use the MPS for the most strategic product, maybe only the finished products or the semi-finished or only the components with long lead times. You can also use a mix of replenishment methods. So it doesn't mean if you use MPS that it needs to be used for everything. You can maybe have some products in MTO, some with MPS, some with reordering rules. So yeah, of course it becomes more tricky with a lot of products.
One of the factors for manufacturing isn't just stock availability of components, but also staff availability for the operation. And does it consider this?
Well, the MPS is not for the moment considering our work center capacities, for example, so not for the moment. Of course, then I didn't go further in the process. We would have our manufacturing orders. We assume that if we order from the MPS, we order in advance, and that allows us to also find a way to plan our orders and make sure our employees are assigned, and then it's like really long-term planning. So I would say, yes, it's a very important point, but it allows you to still do it after once the MO is actually created.
Can you import forecast from Excel?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. How can we have a provision for blanket orders? We need to do purchases based on the program customer orders.
Mm-hmm. I would say maybe come to the booth, we check together, because I'm not sure I understand well the question. I mean, yeah, I don't see a different way to use it for blanket orders.
Okay, I see some questions are being typed at the moment, but I'll check if I missed some. Yeah, I'm not sure which ones I haven't said already because some have been added in between.
It's fine. I guess if you have more questions, everyone can just come to the booth. I will be there later this afternoon and tomorrow, and my colleagues are always there. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.